All right. Well, let's move on to your other fantastic project, Black Rabbit. I mean, and you were nominated at the ADG Awards for
Yeah.
this. And looking at your drawings and everything, and I watched, I mean, it's such a huge bar that you guys
Yeah.
built. It's so many little vignettes and so
Yeah.
many little spaces. And I felt like they did a really great job, at least to me, like going to these spaces.
Oh yeah. They
Yeah,
they they
used it.
really exploited it. I in a good way. I mean, I
Yeah.
was worried that maybe well, because we when we found this location, which is 279 Water Street, I mean, how could you pass this up, right? I mean, look at
Oh,
this
the
building and
view.
look at its setting and all this stuff. But we kind of sort of a certain amount of the layout was kind of grandfathered in just in terms of like it kind of needed to be at least a two-story restaurant. We ultimately made it three levels, and so um, it, we basically had space to like a footprint to fill for these three floors, and we actually cheated the inside a little bit bigger just to make it a little bit more shootable. So it was
Mm.
a lot to fill, and this was a very tight timeline. I think we had 9 weeks till we
Oh,
started filming, and it wasn't the very first thing we filmed, but it was pretty early in the schedule. So it was a little bit hairy because we filled the stage, so a lot of the construction was happening with like inside the set. Um, and one thing we did, which was kind of a first for me, but now I've done it on other jobs, including Love Story, where I work with Chris Lang, and he'll model the set or take one of the assistant art director's models and then render it in Unreal Engine. So those images below, they look like photographs, but those are 3D renderings, and you can move through the space like a video game. Um,
that's great.
so I was able to put Jason in a VR helmet and have him kind of sign off on the
That's crazy.
layout before the set was even done being built. And even made changes based on that, because we didn't have time to wait till it was done for him to be like, oh, you know what, could we have this window be here so that I have an eye line there? All that stuff was figured out in the virtual space, which was
Now, does
pretty
the decorators, Lydia, have input of what you're putting into this VR?
absolutely. So like
That would scare
um
me.
No, so like as it was we were constantly updating. So as she would find a wallpaper, we would put it into the model.
Hmm.
Even as and the technology to do this from Black Rabbit to Love Story has like advanced in leaps and bounds. So like now she can give him a photo of a chair or a sofa she wants to use, and then he can model it and put it in 3D into the set. Like, and
That's
so we can
great.
audition things before they're even purchased.
Oh my God, that's
Um,
great. I would love that
yeah, it's,
because,
it's pretty cool.
Sofa sells it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I really want to try these too. You can't physically bring them, you can't
Yeah.
afford it. Like, that's
Yeah, it takes a little of the guesswork out because like a lot of times, you're looking at all the furniture and swatches of the wallpaper and swatches of the fabric on like a mood board, and then you're trying to like
yeah,
synthesize that in your brain and then kind of guess what that'll look like. Um, or even more importantly, get the director to guess to
yeah,
kind of do
yeah.
that. Some, different people have different levels of ability to do that. In this, it's sort of like you kind of see what you're gonna get on Love Story when we were doing uh we were doing some kind of behind the scenes thing, and I showed some of the producers uh they had seen stills, but they hadn't seen the kind of virtual
Oh,
walkthroughs before, and I mean, I think they knew that the stills that they were looking at were concept drawings because they saw them before the set was built. But then looking at them, they had a hard time they were like, wait a minute, that's not the set? Because that's the level of like,
the reality.
accuracy you can render them now.
With this, I'm looking at a photo of your build of the exterior of the bar,
Yeah.
and it has two floors. The
Uh-huh.
bar has three. So is the second floor dressed up there. Did you shoot on the second floor up there, or is
Yeah,
that
so this
somewhere
was a
else?
stacked set. So
It
that's
is.
these are the first two floors of the like restaurant.
Hmm.
And then the third floor was sort of like the VIP nightclub floor and also Jude Law's character's office.
Yeah.
And that is on the same stage but um next to the two stories. So yeah, right now you're looking at a rendering of the second floor, and that is built on top of the first floor.
It is.
Uh,
I didn't know if that exterior just had it and then the second floor was built somewhere else, but
only the third floor was built separately. We just couldn't go that high. But the nice thing about doing a stack set like this, and we did that on Murder at the End of the World too, is that then you have the freedom to like follow characters down the stairs, and you're not having to
yeah.
bury that in a cheat. Um,
It makes it so much realistic. It makes the realism really
yeah.
pop there. Yeah. The textures and as you said before, like the maximalism and the style of this bar, like what was the influence for this like eclectic look?
Well, so we looked at some of the kind of classic New York hot spots, Freeman's Alley and um, uh, you know,
You could say anything. I'm old. And I don't live
yeah,
in New
one if
York.
by land, two if by sea. Like there are a lot of these places. We were kind of peppered in a little bit of that, and then we were looking at sort of kind of classic English gastro pubs.
Mm,
Um, you know, some in London, but some sort of in the countryside. We wanted to have that sort of feeling, and then also we were looking at because there's the brothers who start the restaurant were formerly in a band. We wanted to kind of put a little bit of infusion of rock and roll into it. So we were looking at like Jimmy Page's house and Keith
mm,
Richards' estate and stuff like that. So we were pulling from all those things that like in this upper right hand image, you see those booths, past the bar, you see those booths along
yeah.
the wall. These are called snugs, which are these kind of like little private rooms that you see in English pubs.
Oh yeah.
And you don't see, it's not that common here in the States, but that was a cool detail that I wanted to incorporate. And we wanted to, we wanted the audience to feel that like when you entered this space, when you kind of leave the chaos of the city and then you're kind of transported into this sort of cozy fireside
Yeah.
inn for weary travelers.
It definitely brings back a vibe of like an old time tavern and
Yeah.
the eclecticness of the furniture and it's tin ceiling, right? Is it a tin?
Yeah.
It's a high
Hmm.
gloss tin
Hmm.
ceiling, and then these beautiful glass panes that you have as like room dividers, and then on the second floor you have them also. I love that old glass. I love, love,
Yeah,
love.
that's called bottle glass, which
Ugh,
is
I
which
love
is it's the piece of the glass. I didn't know this, but this is the piece of the glass that when they would blow the glass back in the old days, that's where
it. Thing
the
was
pipe
held.
for the blowing would
Yeah.
be, and then they would hammer out the glass, and then they would cut off the clean pieces and sell those to the high end buildings that had, like see-through windows, and then the bottle glass was sold off to the more the lower rent.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of taverns had them
Oh,
because um,
do you have it here
they
too?
were cheaper.
And here and in the
Yeah.
second floor you have it
And
also.
so, and
Beautiful.
so the other, a lot of the details that you see in this, so the actual location is really two buildings. It's the wood building on the corner, which was, somewhere between 75 and 100 years old when the Brooklyn Bridge was being built.
Oh wow.
And then a newer brick building that was next to it. And at some point in time, they kind of broke through the two buildings and made it into one space. We took that a little bit a step further and like really opened it up so that you kind of easily flow between the two spaces naturally, but we wanted to honor how it really was. So like when you're in the brick building on our set, you're stepping down into it. And
Oh,
if you look, yeah, to your left of that staircase, so if you see that's a brick wall that it's like when the brick building went up, the exterior windows of the wood building were covered over. And
oh
then
right.
we told the story that those were opened back up again to create depth between the two spaces. And
Oh,
a
that's
lot of the textures
beautiful.
and materials that you see in the set are carryovers from things that you see in the actual building, which is really not in great condition because it was really battered in one of the hurricanes. But you actually, the location appears as itself in episode 2 when you see a flashback to when they first find the
Oh, right.
building. So
That's what
all
it
that
was.
is real. And then there were certain things like this banister and other
I
things that
love it.
we recreated on our set.
I love the banister. This wooden banister is so pretty, and it's like natural and like older woods. And I love and the the black rabbit wallpaper is
Yeah.
fantastic.
My wife Dawn Macy is the graphic designer for the job, and she designed this
Oh,
wallpaper.
it's great. It's such a little tell in there and like an ode to and in the bathroom I think is great too.
Yeah.
Um, you can see in some of these photos the exposed walls that you were
Yeah.
saying. And this is the second floor still.
Yeah,
There's
we're on the second
so
floor
many.
here.
I really, I mean, I knew it was when I watched it, but really looking at your photos, I can't believe how big this was to dress. I mean, it's huge. Three
It,
floors. I mean,
there was a point where
I would run out of ideas. I mean, it's
that wasn't the issue. There was one point where I think we all got nervous that we maybe bit off more than we could chew, and like all of these different details were at various stages of completion, and the due date was fast approaching, and we're like, are we going to be able to get all of this through the finish line? But at that point, we were already kind of committed to it, so you couldn't just leave something
yeah, no,
unfinished, so we just powered through. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, any of these pictures you look at, like, it's probably a thousand conversations for every single
yeah.
detail.
And you've
Um,
great sight lines through the place. So, like you said, like with the open windows and looking down halls,
well,
it's
that's to me. If a set is a kind of bespoke tool for telling a story, i- that's its like primary objective. Like you need to be able to sort of what's a, like you're sort of editing the story before the editor
right.
takes over. So
Yeah.
giving break up to the spaces, and some of the stuff we were talking about in Love Story is the same thing. It's like where the director and the DP frame certain the action, and you can see multiple spaces at once.
Yeah.
That ends up helping the economy of the storytelling.
Until they have to put extras in there. And they're like, can
Yeah,
we? Yeah. Then they realize they can't afford
yeah,
extras.
yeah.
That's always
Luckily,
fun.
that didn't seem to be a problem on
Well,
this
that's
one,
good.
but
I've been in those when it's
yeah,
like, yeah, we don't really have enough extras for this set. And it's like,
yeah.
well, it's
Or
not my
yeah, then you're
problem.
revising the set to make it so that you're. I mean, on
Yeah.
Love Story, that was an issue in some of the locations we chose. Like we would find a location that was like perfect, but then we realized we would never be able to fill it, and that just like took it off the table. Um, but
I,
like the banquet where they first meet,
oh,
we
yeah.
looked at
The
we looked at a couple
chandelier.
places that would have just been too vast, and then we ended up shooting in a pretty modest sized ballroom um, at a all girls school.
It was beautiful with the chandeliers and everything. That's
Yeah.
the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In this restaurant too, you have so many textures and so many patterns, but yet they all work together. I mean, it's the palette is so tight that you guys have. It's
So
really
and in this one, like like Love Story, we had black, white, gray, and like blush and buff were like that was like our very decided upon palette. This was less about specific colors and more just about tones. So we wanted the wood tones, we wanted the brick, and then it was about picking colors that complemented those. So this is it's a much more colorful. The sets are more colorful, but the values are sort of dialed in, to
yeah.
the same level. But the other thing that I wanted to say to your point before is that the big concept for this, so the show is about these two brothers, right? One is kind of visibly a mess, and the other one is much more presentable, even
Yeah.
though he's maybe internally a mess.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to kind of convey in the design of the Black Rabbit as a set was that anywhere the camera looked, you're representing both brothers. So like,
Mhm.
you know, in this lower right-hand corner, you're seeing
Yeah.
the wall with the peeling plaster and the you know and the exposed lath, and then that's butted right up against this like high-end imported Austrian wallpaper that Lydia found.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a little flavor from each of them in every frame.
Yeah, it is very visual that these two types of finished unfinished are blending together. And that I mean, and associating that with the brothers is pretty genius because they're still brothers. I
Yeah,
mean, they're very different, but they're still brothers.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's great. Um, so then your third
yeah. So this
floor.
is the third floor set that was so this rendering shows it as if it were in real life, but it actually was built separately. And this we wanted to feel a little bit more. This was where we leaned a little bit more into the rock and roll. We looked at a lot of uh, Japanese listening bars.
Mm.
It was a little bit grungier by design, designed to have a little bit of a feeling of danger is not the right word, but like a little bit rougher and
Is
you know
this
that
all
that
signatures? Is this a
yeah. So
wallpaper?
that's really hard to do.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
they so the Scenics did like a couple of layers and then we had paint pens out so that anyone whenever they were in the set could like add to it. My kids have wrote on the wall and stuff too. And that just took you know it's funny when you sort of give people the permission to do that, they'll take you up on it and it really they and people took liberties. They started drawing on the lampshade, and I loved all that. It
oh
felt very
yeah.
alive.
That seems very organic. That some guys just like
Yeah.
I want to be special, and then everybody does it. And
Yeah.
no,
It's
that's
sort of method
such a
designing, right? You're kind of just like
yeah,
you're doing it the way it actually would have come together. But that takes time, like
yeah.
we had to get that up and like let that live there for like a long time to get that level of layering on it.
I also love too that there's cassettes and
Yeah.
records. Like,
Yeah.
Poor cassettes. Miss them. Miss
But
my
it's funny when
16.
people would walk onto the set and see those cassette racks, like there's that
I had
like,
them.
yeah, it touches a nostalgic
Yeah.
nerve for sure. Like people
It's
are like,
still
whoa,
hanging in my girl bedroom in South Jersey. It's still
oh yeah.
hanging there. Yes, full.
Oh, another cool detail that I just want to point out here is if you look at the floor, you see how it's like red and blue and
Ready.
green.
Yeah.
Um, that's a carryover from the actual building. When you go to the third floor, you can see, well, at the actual building, there's actually walls there, but if you see the kind of footprint of where walls would have been
Oh,
on
wow.
the floor, for whatever reason, different rooms were
Green.
painted, the floors were painted different colors. So I thought that was such a weird and interesting detail, and it's
Yeah,
not something that I ever would have thought of myself. So
I
we
love
um,
that.
we
I,
followed that footprint and carried that over to this.
I love paying ode to things that like, well, it's so weird we have to do it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like to me, uh, like I probably what I'm doing is closer to curation than actual like interior design, right? Because it's like I'm just finding the interesting details that tell the story, right? That floor tells more story
Yeah.
than any number of things. I don't know what exactly the story is, but there's history there. And so um uh anyway, that's what I find inspiring. So I'm just always
Uh,
looking for things like that that I can
but
carry over.
you're also able to work it into your design and making it all cohesive together. And
Yeah,
like, you know, it's so, it's such an interesting history of this building and your sets that you've given characters so much to look at when they walk into a room.
yeah,
Yeah. This is the lounge area that you have. Huge. It just goes on and on. And then you still have his office,
yeah.
which,
And this was something we really wanted to play with the kind of the dichotomy of the front of house, back of house, like
right.
the lighting is always so like moody and warm on the front facing places, and then it's like sort of garish and ugly, um, in his office. And then also like when you see the the restaurant or the VIP room in the light of day, it has a different feeling than it does at night because the sunlight is coming in and you see the like sticky residue from the night
Yeah.
before on the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah. It's
So
always so gross when we scout bars
yeah,
in the
exactly.
day.
And the
It's always
smell,
so
right?
sad. It's
That
so
smell of
sad.
stale beer and stuff. But so
Everything's
we,
sticky.
we without having smell-o-vision, we
Yeah.
wanted to sort of convey that even just visually.
No. Oh, it's great. And then to like completely go another way, you have Jake's apartment, which is like clean, modern, beautiful. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
A big part of his story is that he's living beyond his means because he's selling a vision of himself that he thinks will then eventually pay off and afford him, actual financial stability. So we wanted something that really, especially when Vince walks into it, it kind of
Yeah.
makes him step back and think, "Oh wow, my brother's really got it figured out." And then the cracks start to show in the
I
veneer.
I love too that he's ballsy enough to have a dining room table of eight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would never assume that eight people could come over.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the kind of
Yeah.
the sort of joke of it is like he's not entertaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's all for show.
yeah, but in the off chance that someone does come to his apartment, he wants to create the vision of himself
Yeah.
as having
Yeah.
a vibrant
Like dinner
social life
parties all the
outside of the
time.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I loved, loved, loved their childhood home. I loved it. I loved just the complete difference and there is such a thing of like going to your childhood home and they go through like old things and
Well,
uh,
this was an amazing find, this place. It was the guy who owned it, grew up there, and it was pretty much untouched from the time his mother died.
wow.
Um, and so we kind of baked that into the design, but then we filled out a lot of the dressing with stuff that I kind of hatched a plan to, my parents kind of hold on to things too long.
Mine too.
So we sent the set dressers to my parents' house and cleaned out their basement and used all of the shit that's
Oh
been
wow.
piling up in there to
Oh
to
wow.
add to the
Did your mom
hoard.
approve that? Like my mom would
Well,
never let it go.
it took a little convincing, but it was like, how many paper bags and
Yeah.
takeout containers does one person need,
Tetra
right? So
packets.
like
Yeah.
we brought all that over, and then she's been begging me to clean out my childhood bedroom, just like it sounds like
Yes.
your mother maybe is probably
Yes.
begging you to.
Yes.
And so a lot of the stuff that you see in the flashback of the brother's bedroom are stuff that came right from my bedroom.
That's awesome.
And it's sort of peppered all in there.
Oh my God, that's awesome. And were you reminiscent on the set of like, oh my God, there's my He-Man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I sort of devised it as a way of like, well, I've saved this stuff for so long. What am I saving it for? My kids are probably past the age where they want any of this stuff even. So so then what is it being saved for? I might as well, like, it's sort of almost like a Viking funeral. Like, why don't I set
Yeah.
it up to see in a set? And for the most part that worked. There were a handful of things that like at the last minute I couldn't part with and are now in my basement at
I
but
hear you. I hear
yeah.
you. I think that's a great way to come almost full circle of like, oh, now I'm using my memories as in my job. Like I'm
Yeah.
using that. That is fantastic. I love that. Um, I just love the scenes in this house and it's kind of sad and reminiscent and awesome. I don't know. The whole series is so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Twofer. You got two submissions here, two very strong submissions in different categories.
Oh
That's
yeah.
awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for talking with
Thanks for
me about
having me.
all this. I obviously very much enjoyed both of these series and just to deep dive into your brain a little bit about it was fantastic. So thank you.
It was fun talking to you. Thanks.